All right, today we're talking about multiplying fractions. Written kind of weird. Okay. Before we get into the complicated stuff like these, where it's fractions times fractions, I want to start with a little bit more basic. This one, where it's just a number, a whole number times a fraction. I think if we look at this one, we'll kind of understand the process of what's going on, and you'll understand instead of just memorizing the rule. So, 2 times 3/4. Well, if it was just 2 times 3, that would be 6, right? 2 groups of 3. What we're doing instead is we're saying 2 groups of 3/4. So if I wanted to draw a picture for that, just to make it a little clearer, that means I have, let me do this. I have 3/4, but I'm multiplying it by 2, so making 2 of those. Okay? The size is not changing. We didn't do anything to the size of the slices, that 4 the denominator, but the amount, that number on top, doubled. It got multiplied by 2. So our answer would be 6 slices out of, not out of 8, out of 4, okay? Because the size was out of 4. That's how big each slice is for the entire thing, okay? That's how we do this when it's 2 times something. We just multiply that top number. Now it gets a little more complicated when you do something like 2/3 times 1/4. Let's even do an even easier one just to start. 1/2 times 1/4. Okay? If we start with 1/4, when we say 1/2, that's basically saying we only want half of that. So the amount of slices we're not going to really multiply, but what we're going to do is we have to take all of these slices and cut them in half, because that's what divide by 2 means. So it turns into that. And we only want half as much as what we had before. So let me draw that again. We had 1/4, but we only want half of that. So really, it should just look like this, that half piece colored in. Okay? And if you can notice, that half piece is actually an 1/8. So the idea is, what we really did was we took the quarter we had and we made it half as big. Because we can't divide the 1 by 2, we actually made the bottom number twice as big. So it became an 8. It's kind of weird to understand, but that's how it changed, and that's why our answer became 1 out of 8. We'll do one more example to kind of show what's going on. If we start with our 1/4 here. Okay? What's happening here is that we're multiplying it by 2, so we're going to get 2 times as many, but then we're going to divide it by 3 and only keep 1/3 of what we have. Let's do the divide by 3 first. So we're going to actually split this circle into thirds. And we're only keeping that piece. That's 1/3 of 1/4. And then we have to multiply it by 2 to make it there. So our answer is going to end up being 2 out of what we can see now is 12 pieces in total. The other way that you can think of this that makes it a lot easier is if we just do the top times the top number, gives us 2. And if we do the bottom times the bottom number, gives us 12. Okay? I just wanted to show you the illustration to kind of make it make sense in your head. We're multiplying by this number and then dividing by this number. But if it's easier just to remember the rule, that's okay too. That's what we get. And of course, as always, we need to reduce. This divides by 2, so it gives us 1/6. Let's do a couple more examples using the basic rule. Okay. 5 times 3 over 1 times 4. Top times top. That's what our rule is. That becomes 15. Bottom times bottom. 1 times 4 gives me 4. And that's our final answer. If we do this one, top times top. 2 times 3 is 6. Bottom times bottom. 3 times 4 gives me 12. And again, we got to reduce that. Divide by 6 gives me 1 out of 2. This one works the same way. We just got a negative. Don't get freaked out. It does the same thing. -2 times 3 gives me -6. 7 times 5 gives me 35. And I don't think that can reduce 5, 7. No. This one, again, there's a lot of negatives. Don't panic. Go through it the way you normally would. -6 times negative 2 gives me positive 12, because negative times negative is positive. Negative 7 times 3 gives me negative 21. What I'm going to tell you, 12 divided by negative 21, or negative 12 divided by 21, they're actually the same. Usually we prefer to write it like this with the negatives at the top, but it doesn't really make a difference. The other way you could think of it is that in this step right here, a negative number divided by another negative number actually gives you a positive. So you could have changed this to 6 over 7 at the start and gone through the rest of the question. It would have given you the same answer. Doesn't matter which way you do it, but that's it. The basics for this video: top times top, bottom times bottom when you're doing multiplication. Do the top times the top to get your new numerator. Do the bottom times the bottom to get your new denominator, and then reduce.